Town Square Media.
Take your business to the next level. Call our Director of Sales, Jim McLean, today at 609-910-5247.
We know sports.
Touchdown!
97.3 ESPN, WENJ, WENJ, HD, Millville, Atlantic City, a Town Square Media station. This is Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app. Now, live from the Matt Black Kia Studios.
What a move!
Here's Josh Hennig.
Thursday edition of Game Night on 97.3 ESPN FM and the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City. We got a lot of NFL to get to, as well as we'll get some thoughts on the Phillies as well. Phillies lose the third game of the series, but they won 2 out of 3, so they technically won the series already. So we'll get to the Phillies. Plus, the Eagles are basically 25 hours away from the first preseason game, which you can hear right here on your home for the Eagles, Sixers, and Flyers in South Jersey, 97.3 ESPN FM. Andy McNamara covers the NFL and fantasy sports. He joins us every football season. He is back today. He'll be joining us. Actually, he's going to be live from Cleveland is where we're going to be chatting with him. He'll be calling in to the show to talk latest on the Eagles, NFL, fantasy sports, and more. I know a lot of you are already starting to think about your fantasy football teams. So we got you covered here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN. I got to start with the Phillies, though, because the loss today was, I don't want to say it was expected, but it kind of felt like it was there. But there were two other things that happened with the Phillies. Because, look, it was a great win last night. It was a great win last night, okay? They came from behind. They beat Sandy Alcantara. Again, they've now scored 10 runs against one of the best pitchers in baseball in 4 starts combined, okay? So it was a great win. But I'm not here to talk about that specifically. I'm here to talk about two other things. Number one, Kyle Schwarber going down with an injury. I'm not going to say that I'm worried. I'm not going to say that I'm overly concerned, but I am going to be mindful of it. Because Schwarber going down puts this organization in a very difficult predicament, okay? The predicament they are in is if Schwarber is going to miss this upcoming Mets series, where you're going against Scherzer, DeGrom, and Bassett. That's a huge loss for that series because in many ways, Kyle Schwarber has been one of the main guys to fill the void without Harper. Without Harper, Schwarber has been a huge, huge guy to carry this team. Excuse me. So as a result, if you are without Schwarber, then I got to be honest. I don't know if you're beating the Mets 2 out of 3 in this series. Look, the odds of you beating both DeGrom and Scherzer are like, what, 1 in a million at this point? So if you're in a situation where, I mean, again, I'm just being real with you guys. You're in a situation where Schwarber misses this weekend. It's a mild calf strain. Now, they haven't announced how many games he's going to miss or how long he could be out. You know, they're kind of treating it as a day-to-day thing. Well, if I'm the Phillies, I got to either step up and find a way to beat the Mets. That's unconventional. Or do you just accept them losing? Again, I'm not going to sit here and be presumptuous about anything. But I do think that losing Kyle Schwarber for any amount of time, whether it's 2 games, 2 series, a week, 2 weeks, whatever it may be, that's a problem. So, again, I'm hoping that Schwarber doesn't miss too much time because I'm not betting on them beating both beating Scherzer and DeGrom without Schwarber. If Schwarber doesn't play this Mets series this weekend, can you still win 2 out of 3? You can, but your odds have gone down. And it's not that Bassett's a pushover either. You could argue Bassett has been their third best pitcher this year after Scherzer and then DeGrom coming back. Between Bassett and McGill, they've been both very, very, very good for the Mets. And they're a big part of the reason why the Mets are in first place in the division. So, to me, losing Schwarber is a big deal. Now, the other story we talked about today on 97.3 ESPN, if you go to 97.3ESPN.com, the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, you will see what Jimmy Rollins said. And Jimmy Rollins tapped into, again, a conversation that we have been having here on 97.3 ESPN. You've heard me talk about it for a while on Game Night. You've heard me talk about it in the locker room with Billy Schwein. And Mike Gill and I have talked about it this week on the Sports Bash. Jimmy Rollins pointed to, on Twitter, he says, this Phillies team has it. And he speaks very highly of this team. But then he says, I'm seeing too many empty seats at the bank. Where are all the sellouts that get the bank rocking and make Philadelphia the best sports town in the world? Now, there were a lot of people who replied to what Rollins had to say. But Jimmy Rollins is supposed to be a guy. He's an ambassador for the organization. He's become one of the most visible and publicly seen guys from that Phillies run in his post-career. You don't see or hear from Ryan Howard much at all. He makes an appearance here or there, but he's not doing a bunch of media. He's not doing a bunch of stuff, right? Chase Utley has kind of taken, a quieter route in his post-career as well. You don't see Chase Utley doing a gazillion interviews. Jimmy Rollins is out there. Jimmy Rollins is doing media, and I think he does a great job, by the way. If I get to see more Jimmy Rollins talk baseball, I feel like Jimmy does a great job as an analyst and as a guy on coverage. So for me, when I hear Jimmy Rollins speak out, this is more than just a random former Philly. This is more than just a guy who is a part of that team that won the World Series in 2008. This is a former league MVP. This is a multiple-time All-Star. This is a multiple-time Gold Glove winner. This is a guy who is arguably one of the 5 greatest Phillies to ever put on the uniform. You go through the 100-plus years of the Phillies organization, and you're talking about Mike Schmidt, you're talking about Richie Ashburn, you're talking about Dick Allen, talking about Steve Carlton, and you're talking about Jimmy Rollins in no particular order. I know that some people have suggested Jimmy's the second greatest Philly of all time. I don't know if I'm going to do that, but there have been some amazing players in this franchise's history, and you could argue Jimmy is in that top 5 easily. So for him to come out and say, where are all the people? Empty seats at the ballpark. Where are the sellouts? I think it has a lot more weight than just the guy who you run into at the local bar saying, hey, man, I don't see people in the seats. That guy says it. It's just, guy watching on TV. This is a guy who played the game. This is a guy who's covered baseball for multiple media outlets. This is a guy who's basically an ambassador for the organization, and he is putting it out there. But the reason why, to answer Jimmy Rollins' question, that this is the way it is, gets back to what I've said on the air and what I've said online, what I've said multiple times. And you can chime in as well at 609-403-0973 on the text board. You can DM the show through the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. To me, the reality is that we live in a world where people are making difficult decisions with how they spend their money. Look at gas prices, okay? This is not a political position. This is a Captain Obvious thing, all right? You don't have to be any political position or any, stage in your life to not notice that gas prices are high. Gas is expensive. If you're somebody who you're paying for your car insurance, you're paying for gas prices, and you're paying to live, and you're paying for all your 200 streaming platforms because you got to have Apple TV and you got to have Amazon Prime and Netflix and Hulu and Disney Plus to watch everything you want to watch. And you got to have either Xfinity or YouTube TV to even watch the Phillies games for most of the year to get NBC Sports Philadelphia. You're paying your bills, and now you got to make the decision. Are me and my family or me and my friends going to go to more than one Phillies game a year? You're darn sure that if you're making a certain level of income, you don't have the money to go to more than one game a year. Baseball used to be the most, for lack of a better term, inexpensive sport to go to a game, okay? I know growing up when I was younger, part of the reason why we went to so many Phillies games is because, frankly, going to an Eagles game or going to other sporting events was just too expensive. It was a lot less expensive when I was growing up for you to say, let's go to a Phillies game, because getting the tickets and going to the game was less expensive than going to an Eagles game or paying for a Flyers game or a Sixers game. There was a time where baseball was the sport for the common person who wasn't of a certain income level. Baseball has not just disconnected from their audience by their silly behavior and by their poor marketing of their sport, but they've also outpriced their fans. So my easiest answer to Jimmy Rollins' question is, guess what? If the regular fan wants to go to a game, they might be only able to go to one, and that's it. Josh Hennig here on Game Night 97.3 ESPN FM, 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. We'll get more into the NFL. Eagles preseason tomorrow night, which you can hear here on 97.3 ESPN. NFL season, actually the NFL preseason has two games tonight as well. Patriots are one of those teams. We'll get into all of that coming up with Andy McNamara, NFL analyst and fantasy sports expert, coming up in about 7 minutes from now. I will touch on this as well, because we did write about it over at 97.3 ESPN.com to Mike Gill. And we had Brandon Scoopy Robinson, NBA insider, earlier today on 97.3 ESPN. Joey D. and Ventnor asked about the Kevin Durant Sixers stuff, because Joey D says, quote, Josh, if the Sixers traded for Kevin Durant and win one championship, is it worth it to mortgage the future? That's Joey D. and Ventnor. Look, my answer to that, Joey D., is, are you asking me? Or are you asking the average fan? Because to me, isn't that what the Philadelphia Eagles did in 2017? Isn't that what the 76ers did in 1983? They put all their chips to the middle of the table. They did whatever it took to get the best players possible. They built a team that won one championship and didn't do anything after that. The 76ers won the NBA championship in 83, haven't won another one since. Only been to one NBA finals since then. The Eagles won the Super Bowl in 2017, never got back since. They've even fired the head coach who won them the Super Bowl a couple years ago. So the answer, Joey D, to your question is the Sixers trade for Durant and we won a championship, is it worth it to mortgage the future? I think the rational person would say yes. And in a city that has already, in different variations, done that, it makes sense. The problem is NBA insider Brandon Scoopy Robinson said to Mike Gill earlier on the Sports Bash today on 97.3 ESPN. He brought up the point that, look, the Sixers may want Durant, but I don't think there's any scenario where the Nets are going to settle for Tyrese Maxey, Tobias Harris, and Matisse Thybulle in a trade. They asked for Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown in a trade with Boston, and Boston said no. That's what the Nets want in return for Durant. Every report out there is the Nets want a historic return for Durant. So we can talk about should the Sixers mortgage their future for Durant all we want. But I just don't see a scenario right now where the Nets are willing to take the Sixers mortgage in order to mortgage their present. They already made one trade with the Sixers, and there's still speculation that Ben Simmons is even going to play this year. The Nets got a lot of problems, and frankly, if I'm the Sixers, I wouldn't even give up that much for Durant because I would force the Nets to, give me Durant for less to hurt them and their future because they are one of your competitors in the Eastern Conference. Again, my humble opinion. Josh Hennig here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN FM. NFL talk coming up next. Andy McNamara, friend of the show, covers fantasy football in the NFL with Sportsnet and other outlets. He joins us next here on 97.3 ESPN. I'm Josh Hennig, hanging out with you on a Thursday night.
This weekend on ESPN Radio, the rivalry continues.
Three-run home run for Buffy Dick. He swings down the left field line. It's over. Red Sox have won the pennant, and they win it in Yankee Stadium.
The Yankees and Red Sox. Coverage begins Saturday at 6:30 Eastern and Sunday at 6 Eastern on ESPN Radio. Listen to Major League Baseball on 97.3 ESPN, South Jersey's sports leader.
Alert! We're under construction at Sport Hyundai in Egg Harbor. It's time to make room for our new and improved facility, and you're the big winner. We're clearing out inventory with our incredible construction reduction sale. New Santa Fe's, Tucson's, and more in stock and priced to move today. With Hyundai Assurance and America's Best Warranty, including the 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. Use our main entrance on Black Horse Pike. Construction reduction deals are once in a lifetime, and this inventory won't last. See for yourself in person or at sporthyundai.com.
I want to take more chances with the embroidering.
Henley's vision for a new clothing line is coming into focus.
Dramatic.
They'll need an on-staff photographer to put their collection in the spotlight.
Why is no one taking shots of these?
Indeed can help them hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. You can schedule and conduct virtual interviews all from your employer dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Almost 3 million people use Navage to breathe better, sleep deeper, snore less, and stay healthier. I'm Martin Hoke, and I invented Navage, the world's only nose cleaner that helps flush out airborne germs with powered suction. But what do doctors have to say about Navage? Here's Dr. Tonya Farmer, a board-certified ear, nose, and throat specialist.
Most airborne allergens and viruses enter through your nose. When that happens, it can cause congestion and irritation, and that just makes you feel miserable. You can get a cold, you can get flu, sinus infections, or even worse. Flushing your nose with a saline solution is the most effective way to flush all of those dangerous threats out of your nose. So now when patients come in my office, I tell them I highly recommend that you use Navage on a daily basis for overall good health and wellness.
And Navage is all natural and drug-free at Navage.com, Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, Rite Aid, Bed Bath, and Target. Navage, N-A-V-A-G-E, clean nose, healthy life.
Holtz Boatworks, conveniently located off the Tuckahoe River in Marmora, specializes in keeping your boat looking and running like new. Holtz Boatworks offers expert fiberglass and paint repair, as well as certified mechanical maintenance and repair. And it's never too early to start thinking about storage. Reserve your covered winter storage now at Holtz Boatworks with complete shrink wrap and winterization. Your boat will be safe from salt and sea. Holtz Boatworks on Tuckahoe Road in Marmora, the best kept secret in the marine industry. Visit HoltzBoatworks.com.
Now, local businesses can get closer to every customer in their city with fast, affordable shipping. Introducing USPS Connect Local. You want speed? We deliver same or next day. You want savings? We give you supplies at a flat rate. You want less legwork? We do free pickups. Move your local business forward with the United States Postal Service. Let's connect at USPSConnect.com/local. Specific markets, restrictions apply. Same day or next day delivery expected, but not guaranteed with entry close to final destination.
Dealing with an outdated printer that just can't keep up with you? Visit Staples and upgrade to a new HP Envy Inspire with HP Plus, HP's best home printer. And it comes with 6 months of free ink. It prints everything you need, from homework and work documents to incredible photos and more with amazing quality. Right now, save $70 on the HP Envy Inspire 7955E, available at Staples. Offer valid through August 27. See staples.com/HP Plus for details.
Here we go. What's the safest bet in town? Another World Series run? Maybe a Super Bowl trophy. Or knowing that at Matt Blatt Kia, you can drive a new Kia with 0 down, 0 payments for 90 days. And Matt Blatt Kia's 4-day love it or leave it return policy on every new 2023 new Kia in stock. Don't see your new Matt Blatt Kia on the lot? Doesn't mean you can't be driving it home tomorrow. Worried about your credit? Forget it. We finance your future, not your past. Why settle for a used vehicle when you could be driving a brand new Kia? Because if you have a job clearing $400 per week, we want to approve you today. All Kias come with a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited warranty. And we want your trade. We'll even buy it for cash.
It's gotta be a Matt Blatt Kia.
On approved credit plus applicable taxes and fees. See dealer for details. Not all will qualify. Deferred payment through TFCU. Interest accrues from date of sale. Offers don't combine. Go to mattblattkianj.com for complete details. Matt Blatt Kia, 6211 Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township, and now on Route 37 in Toms River.
You're listening to Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
Let's get into the NFL now with the Eagles. Well, the Eagles training camp is tomorrow night. But guess what? There is NFL tonight. Apparently, Mac Jones is not playing tonight, which is leading to an extensive amount of speculation for are the Patriots hiding Mac Jones in the offense? This is another Bill Belichick scheme he's doing. We'll get into all that. Plus, we got a little Deshaun Watson news to touch on. So joining us right now, live from Canton, Ohio, is the one and only friend of the show, Andy McNamara, is back because, of course, we are in football season. Andy, how is Ohio treating you?
Oh, Josh, it's beautiful, my friend. Beautiful. Yes, I just checked into the lovely Fairfield Marriott. Looking good. As I told you before we came on, I have a Wendy's on the left, McDonald's on the right, and there's apparently liquor in the gas station, so I'm set.
That's a combustible combination. Wait, what is that? Never mind. All right, so here's the deal. So for those who, I'll get to this first because I know you're a Browns fan and we've had different conversations. So Rob Maaddi from the Associated Press is reporting right now. This just came out a few minutes ago. Rob Maaddi, friend of the show here on 97.3 ESPN. He says, I'm told Deshaun Watson would accept an 8-game suspension and a $5 million fine in a settlement with the NFL. Now, as we know, the NFL wants a full season suspension, and they're trying to get as much money fined from him. But if I think this is a compromise that can kind of save face for everybody, if Watson's willing to accept, that's 2 more games than the 6. So that means he's going to get more suspension time than, for example, Ben Roethlisberger, and a $5 million fine. I mean, that's even more than Stephen Ross is paying right now.
Well, yeah. And the interesting fact with that number, Josh, to me is that apparently, and everything is alleged in this and that, but from multiple sources, it was that Deshaun Watson was offered his camp before the Judge Sue Robinson ruling, a 12-game, $8 million suspension with the fine. And his camp turned that down. Really, as far as if you're Deshaun Watson's camp and you hear Roger Goodell publicly call you predatory and just rake you through the coals, any offer less than one, indefinite, a year or indefinite, you take. If I'm him, I'm taking the 12. If you can get 8, that's sensational. If you're Deshaun Watson, I would take that in a second if I was him. And really, it looks like that 12 option that was originally put out there looks much better than indefinite or a year. And we have to remember too, this new arbitrator, because the NFLPA absolutely sucks at negotiations, and he had Roger Goodell. No, I didn't like it from that arbitrator. I'm going to pick my arbitrator who's a yes man. He listens to Roger Goodell and has ruled in his favor. So I don't know where that 8's coming from, but if you're Deshaun, you better hope it's true.
Well, here's the thing. I think that prospectively, the 8 makes a lot of sense for 2 reasons. One, because it clears Watson away from October. And if you're the NFL, I think part of their problem was, they won't overtly say this, Andy, but I think part of the NFL's thought is, we don't want Deshaun Watson coming back with all the accusations against him in the middle of Breast Cancer Awareness Month.
Ooh, right. Yeah. Because that's October, right? Yes.
Right. So that part of my thinking is, I think Deshaun Watson's like, look, I'm willing to say I won't come back in October, but I'll come back in November.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right. And then you have to think with the NFLPA, where do they stand? Because they've been huffing and puffing about potentially suing and taking a federal court and trying to expose the allegations of the Robert Kraft and Jerry Jones situations of the world and all that. Do they have a leg to stand on? I don't know as far as the legal expertise goes. But this just seems like something for the NFL, for Deshaun Watson. You got to make a decision and move on. Move on with it. Find him more. Find him as much as you want. The guy has $230 million guaranteed dollars coming to him. By the way, he also made a whole bunch, over $100 million. What was it, from the Texans? So find him more. Have it go to wherever you want to make yourself feel good in the public eye, NFL. And let's just figure it out, move on, and get to some football after that.
The other thing is, we should note that an 8-week suspension would mean that Watson then would have the Browns bye week to prepare for week 10. So think about this. That means he's going to miss. The Browns go their bye week 9. So if he misses 8 games, he misses all the games leading up to the bye week. So logistically, this makes sense for Watson as well, football-wise.
It does, because then, of course, you're allowed back with the team. When you're suspended, you're not allowed with the team. So you have that extra week, get prepared, get ready, and then come back for that last stretch of the season. And then from a purely football side of things, if you're the Browns, it's much more digestible to think, all right, can we get through 8 games, almost half the year, with Jacoby Brissett? 6 was, you'd really feel good about it. Jacoby Brissett, sub 500 NFL quarterback, very good backup, 8 games. Can you stay 500? If the Browns can swim at 500 when Deshaun Watson comes back, I think they'll be in good shape for a playoff push. Now, we also have to remember that this man played 0 football last year. He will then not have played another half season. So at that point, are we just expecting Deshaun Watson to pop in 2020 form? Is there going to be no rust? We're going to, apparently, if the NFL doesn't put out an indefinite suspension on him before the Friday game in Jacksonville for Cleveland, we're going to see him on the field in that game. So this is all very interesting, in how long it takes him to get back into top game shape, the $230 million shape that the Browns are expecting.
Andy McNamara joining us here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN. Of course, he is the National Fantasy Sports Analyst and head of football for UFF Sports. He joins us each year to talk football here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN. All right. You heard me mention it before you came on. I got to ask you about the Patriots, because no offensive coordinator. In the past, they just kind of handed it to the next guy in line. Now, nobody knows who's calling the plays, so you will suspect it might be Matt Patricia, for goodness sake. And now, according to reports, it looks like the Patriots are going to be like, we're not even going to play Mac Jones or any starters in the preseason game tonight. Is this Bill Belichick playing mind games, or do they really got a problem over there in New England?
I would say definitely mind games. This is Belichick controlling the narrative, right? Instead of coming out. Now, let's say, and I'm sure Bill Belichick's been around a long time. I'm sure he has an offense in play. I'm sure they're not going to be unprepared. He's known to be one of the most prepared coaches ever, and ad nauseum to his players. But let's say it's not where he thinks it is at, or there's something internal and maybe the guy's not quite up to speed. Well, now you change the narrative to the conversation we're having right now. Is there something wrong, or do they have this new stuff cooked up that they don't want to display? Now you're in the head again of your opponent. That Belichick really is at risk of losing after Tom Brady left, right? It was teams were beaten quite often before they even took the field because of that Brady-Belichick combo. Well, Brady's gone. Belichick's still there. Is this him trying to get a little bit of that control? Or, Josh, are we just overthinking it? He's like, nah, I don't want to get my starter hurt. That's it. He just leaves it.
Look, I got to be honest. Like, the whole thing with the Patriots is one of the most confusing things in the world. You know, I don't understand Belichick's thinking. You know, there's a lot of reporting coming from people who cover the Patriots who are saying that Belichick is taking the most active role he's ever had on the offensive side of the ball. Like, look, I know he's one of the greatest coaches, the greatest coach of all time in NFL history, but he's a defensive background, Andy. Like, you know, if you, doesn't matter if you're a Patriots fan, doesn't matter if you're a fantasy football fan, doesn't matter if you're a sports bettor, doesn't matter if you're just a plain football fan. There's something about Belichick having an active role in the offense that's got to scratch your head and maybe concern you a little bit, right?
Well, from what you just said, Josh, is his background is defense. Now, has he been around and coached up or given suggestions to his offensive coordinators? Of course, but that's not really where he made his money, right? That's not his pure genius. Now, perhaps, and he's had a long off season, maybe he is cooking something up, right? Maybe there is some, but I will agree with you in that if you're a Patriots fan or you're looking at this Mac Jones, who in camp they said has looked very good, but he is still in his formation years in the NFL. He's not a 10-year vet. So now are you learning a totally new offense? How is this working in? And how does it work you bringing in some new weapons for him? Where it's still, like, Josh, if you look at it, and my mind, of course, goes first to fantasy football. If you still look at this team as far as pure star power, it is lacking. Like, your best receiver is Devontae Parker, and on a good team, he's probably your 3, right? There's not a lot of high superstar power for Mac Jones to go to. But we've seen in the past, you don't necessarily need that. You run that system, that offensive system. It was one way under Brady, but now that question is, what system will it be under Belichick / whoever?
Now, on the flip side of the field in the preseason tonight, you got the Giants. Brand new offense, brand new defense, brand new coaching staff. But, Andy, the question with the Giants, I don't think it's about the coaching anymore. Brian Daboll may be the greatest coach ever, but if that Giants team can't stay healthy, what does it matter?
Yeah. Just pummeled with injuries so much last year, and I believe even the year before that. What's the Saquon Barkley's health going to be like long term? Can he finally stay healthy? If he does, like, if you get Saquon Barkley back from 2.5 years ago, my goodness, you have people are going to have to deal with the situation. But can you count on that? I can't. Like, I'm advising people, like, personally in my fantasy draft, I'm not touching Saquon Barkley. He's got to. I'm going to err on the side of him having a standout season and me not having any Saquon Barkley shares on my team, rather than draft and probably overdraft him and count on him. So where do we go from here? Kenny Galladay, lost season, big contract. He's apparently healthy. Kadarius Toney, talented, but a head case. And then you just got guys. Sterling Shepard's still out. Darius Slayton, they've been fine in spurts. And the big question, and the guy who's going to have to prove something this year, and we'll see the quarterback genius that Brian Daboll is. He molded a super raw Josh Allen into a superstar. What can he do with Daniel Jones?
The other preseason game today is Titans versus Ravens. Two also very different situations. Titans, Andy, I mean, they traded away A.J. Brown, but they brought in Robert Woods. It's almost like they kind of just didn't actually get better this offseason. How much of a concern are the Titans, a team that got to the postseason, lost horribly in the playoffs, but they didn't do much to get better?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and really, Robert Woods, nice player, starting to be injury prone more himself, still not at 100%. What I do like, though, is that rookie Treylon Burks. I really like him. I like the size, 6'2", over 200-pound receiver, tests off the charts. Now we have to think about, all right, what type of Ryan Tannehill are we going to be seeing this year? Is it Miami Tannehill, or is it the Tanna Thrill Josh, that we've seen in a couple years in Tennessee. What is it going to be? And does Tannehill have enough tools around him to be effective? Robert Woods, when healthy, is a fine receiver. He had that anomaly. What was it? He had like 0 touchdowns over what he was just snake bitten for the end zone. Talented guy. Can I count on at this point in his career? I'm not comfortable saying that. Treylon Burks, heck of a talent, but almost from the polar opposite side. Even for the elite level wide receivers like a Justin Jefferson or a DK Metcalf, usually took them till about halfway through their rookie year to really hit their stride. Well, if you wait 8 games, you might be in a tough situation when you're still going to be relying very heavily on Derrick Henry, who's back from injury. But Josh, now we saw last year that first kink in the armor of the previously indestructible Derrick Henry, right? 28 years old. What's that famous magic number for running backs? It's 28. And when you're a big dude, 6'3", 247, you're not dancing around. You're not turning sideways and turning invisible. Derrick Henry runs through human beings. He runs through them. Well, the problem is those guys get in the way, and your body's going to start to break down after having how many years of 300 carries. So you have an offense that is still relying so heavily on the running game and Derrick Henry, not really anything behind him. Like Dontrell Hilliard, he had a nice little game last year. That was fun. Dontrell Hilliard ain't winning you anything. And then you have Austin Hooper, who just left the Browns. He is the epitome of I'm catching the football and then I'm falling where I stand. And that's all he's doing. So he might catch the ball. If you throw it to a spot, he'll probably catch it, but he has no playmaking ability beyond that. So I'm not quite sure what to make out of this Tennessee offense, especially if anything happens to Derrick Henry.
On the flip side, you have the Ravens. They paid Justin Tucker. Lamar's still waiting for his contract, which, listen, somebody yelled at me on Twitter. I'm not equating Justin Tucker to Lamar Jackson. I'm not saying the Ravens are paying Tucker. All I'm saying is that if you're willing to pay Tucker top money to be the best kicker in the league, I mean, I'm assuming Lamar Jackson's like, so I'm getting 232, right?
Yeah. Hey, you know what? Maybe the game plan is we'll run the ball, we'll hand the ball off a lot or have Lamar run, and then Tucker can hit it if it's anything at midfield. We'll
he can do it too. He can do that.
He can do it, and he's done it. And the defense has been revamped a bit. Not those Ravens defenses of old, but you got some real nice pieces. Like, I hate to say I love Patrick Queen. Man, I always look for something negative with the Ravens because I'm a Browns fan. But, man, I love Patrick Queen. And they got that line. The secondary is still not where it needs to be, but you have Marcus Peters. When he's there, he's out right now. So the defense, I think, can chip you away, get you by. But my question remains this. What does this offense look like? Because if you look objectively at the passing statistics, the situational pass, the completion percentage, the red zone, whatever, if Lamar Jackson is not throwing it to Mark Andrews, it's not being caught. And Marquise Hollywood Brown, pretty damn good receiver in my mind. He wanted out of Baltimore for 2 years because he wasn't getting the football. Now people are telling me, well, Rashad Bateman. I liked Bateman coming out of college. I liked him. But am I going to be counting, Josh, on Lamar Jackson? I don't trust his arm. The defensive strategy against Lamar Jackson is still making him throw the football. If that is your strategy, that's a problem for your franchise quarterback who's going to want the 200-plus mil that you mentioned. But his receiving core is Rashad Bateman. Okay, good guy. Devin Duvernay, slot receiver. You can get him. You can get a Devin Duvernay every day of the week in the draft. Anytime you can get a Devin Duvernay. And James Prost II, who, Josh, if I didn't have his card randomly, a random James Prost autograph out of a Panini Prism, I'd have no idea who the heck this guy was. And then you got Mark Andrews. And then it's all about the running game. J.K. Dobbins, is he back? Well, he's banged up. Gus Edwards, still not healthy. Mike Davis, Justice Hill, okay. And Lamar Jackson. This Baltimore offense is going to be around Lamar Jackson looking, and he's either going to run it, he's either going to hand it off, or he's going to throw it to Mark Andrews, and that's it. I don't know if that's enough to win the division.
Yeah, I don't think the Ravens are winning the division. I mean, you know my pick. My pick's the Bengals to win the division.
I like Joe Burrow. Damn it. He's cool.
But I do think the Ravens are a playoff team just for the simple fact that there are 7 teams that make it. And I'm starting to wonder, Andy, you know, like, for example, here in NFC East country, right? You know,
yeah,
almost everyone agrees There's only 3 teams that can win the division: Washington, Dallas, and Philadelphia, but only 2 of them anyone really believes in. That's the Eagles and the Cowboys.
Yeah.
But then you go to the AFC, and it's like, well, almost every team in the AFC North, you can make an argument for as a playoff team, and every team in the AFC West, you can make an argument for a playoff team, and almost every team in the AFC East, not named the Jets, you can make an argument for. It feels like the AFC is going to be one of those years where it's like it's week 18 and half the teams have the same record, and we're all going to be sweating it out the last week of the season.
I 100% believe that that's going to be the case. And that AFC West, how is it? This is on paper. I don't know if there's been a better division in the past 50 years in the NFL. There's probably something, and someone can find something. But just off the top of my head, when I'm looking at the talent, the quarterbacks, the pieces, now, are we going to see all those 4 teams just ball out, or are they going to cannibalize each other a little bit? What are those matchups going to be like? How many teams come out of there? Is there a world where all of them do? Wouldn't that be something? That would be absolutely wild, but probably not. And so when you look at the rest of the AFC, the one that stands out to me, that division, is the AFC South, and it's because it's bad. But those can kind of be fun, right? That was kind of the NFC East a few years ago, right? Where it was like the 500 team won the division. The Houston Texans, Davis Mills, all right, but Texans stink. Jacksonville Jaguars, I think they'll take a step forward with competent head coaching and Doug Peterson, and that Trevor Lawrence is going to take a step forward. But are they a playoff team this year? No. Tennessee Titans, we just talked about them. Big wild card, lots of question marks. And then the Indianapolis Colts, who have Matt Ryan behind a great offensive line. You got Jonathan Taylor, Michael Pittman Jr. at wide receiver. That's a pretty good-looking club. So that division, I think, is going to be very interesting just from who's going to not blow it. And it's really the Indianapolis Colts is to lose. But yeah, you're right. The rest of that whole conference, you can make an argument for almost any team outside of the AFC South.
2 more for Andy McNamara. You can follow him on Twitter at AndyAMC81. Of course, he covers the NFL and fantasy sports. Joins us each week here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN all football season long. Andy, Hard Knocks debuted this week. Everyone's in love with the Lions. But I got to ask you, as a fantasy football guy, are you lower on the Lions or lower on the Bears' offensive talent for fantasy football?
Ooh, if I'm looking just for fantasy, I'm lower on the Bears. I think there's...
Think about how crazy that is, though.
I know. It's really weird to say, but I think the Bears, in the same breath, have a much better chance with Matt Nagy gone. How fast did that guy get de-geniused? First year stud, and then just a steady nosedive from there. But now if we look fantasy-wise for the Bears, are you going to want Justin Fields as a top 12 fantasy quarterback? Absolutely not. 2 QB leagues with his legs, maybe, but I'd probably not chance it. That's a risky play. David Montgomery can show as a lead back that he can be very competent. He's banged up right now, but if he's healthy, that's a guy who could be someone you could take not in the first round and still get a starting caliber running back, which is rare. Wide receivers, that's a write-off. Darnell Mooney, nice little, maybe as a flex. Do I want to go reach and depend on Darnell Mooney? Absolutely not. One guy I do like, Cole Kmet, because that vulture, Jimmy Graham, is finally gone. He's finally out of the picture. He's finally out of there. He's driving me nuts. Cole Kmet, though, I think has a chance to rise. He's athletic, and him and Justin Fields could have a connection. So Cole Kmet is somebody, folks. If you're looking in your fantasy draft and you're one of those people who want to punt on the tight end, Cole Kmet is somebody you want some pieces at. But the thing I said with each of those examples, Josh, was a whole lot of, if or but. You look at the Lions, you got a lot of fun pieces. Like Amon-Ra St. Brown I got him late last year, and I helped for a deep playoff push in my fantasy team. He's phenomenal. We know DeAndre Swift is great. And Jamal Williams is a third down back. No one's challenging him. So you got a stud running back with your stud receiver. DJ Chark is a possession guy in PPR, can be good. And DJ Hawkinson, before he was banged up, was doing a real nice job as a tight end. And that, again, another guy you can wait on who's going to get you top 12 fantasy tight end numbers. So I think that the Lions, combined with the HBO incredible just visuals and audio we're getting out of players singing Billie Jean and the head coach, I think it could actually be kind of fun.
I said it on Twitter. People could criticize me, but if any of that intensity from Campbell and Deuce Staley and Aaron Glenn rub off on the players, they can win 7 games. If any of it rubs off, I'm not saying they're a playoff team. I'm not saying Jared Goff's going to win you your fantasy league. I'm just saying that I think the Lions might be a better football team this year than the Bears.
Yes, I'm totally with you. Like, it would not surprise me at all if the Lions finish ahead of the Bears and the Bears are last in their division. It would not surprise me one bit, which is really rare when it comes to the Lions because you kind of just wash them away. You fluff them off. But they have the pieces there. And Jared Goff, everyone dumps on him. He's not flashy. He's not going to throw for 5,000 yards. But the guy did help get a team to the Super Bowl before, and he can distribute the football. And you got guys, and if you go back to the fantasy side, DeAndre Swift can catch the ball really well also. Jared Goff loves his dink and dunking. You can get it to Swift, you get it to St. Brown, you get it to Hawkinson. Those are 3 names right there that can be solid starters each week on your fantasy team. And then you mix in maybe DJ Chark as a bench guy, and you sort of wait in the weeds and see how he plays out.
All right, before I let you go, I have Cowboys fans who are very angry with me, Andy. So I'm gonna ask you. Look, I don't understand why the Cowboys think that after CeeDee Lamb that they're perfectly okay at wide receiver. Look, I understand that some people really like the rookie. Listen, he's still a rookie though. Jalen Tolbert. You know, I look at Noah Brown. I don't get excited. Dalton Schultz, I'm worried that people might be zoning in on him this year, trying to stop him more than last year. You know how that works in the NFL. Cowboys getting in fights with the Broncos in camp. According to reports, they lost the fights in camp, if you believe some of the beat reporters. So what do we do with the Dallas Cowboys, Andy?
Well, I think one of the wild cards is Michael Gallup. And latest report was that he was running and doing some cuts at practice earlier this week, so that's good. But it still seemed the last time he spoke himself that he'd be doubtful to start the season. Maybe that changes or whatever. But that depth is razor thin. So after, like you said, the rookie Jalen Tolbert, nice player. I'm not huge on coming out of the draft. I think he's going to be fine. I'm not getting super excited. A lot of just names after that. A lot of just guys, right? So there's even more importance on Ezekiel Elliott. And then what does that mean with Tony Pollard as well? Do we see more creativity out of using the running backs with the thinness at wide receiver? Ezekiel Elliott, Tony Pollard on the field at the same time, doing some stuff, rolling one out. Both can catch the football. Both can run. You have Dalton Schultz at tight end, who I am very bullish on. And then you have CeeDee Lamb, who's an absolute stud. And if you get Gallup back, he's a terrific number 2 and has shown he can elevate his play to that number 2 status when given the chance and called upon. So I think a lot of it can hinge on if Michael Gallup can get back quick and effective. Otherwise, you are going to have to get creative working in both Elliott and Pollard, try to mix things up a little bit in the meantime.
He is Andy McNamara. You can follow him on Twitter at AndyMC81. He is the National Fantasy Sports Analyst and Head of Football for UFF Sports. He is calling live from Canton, Ohio. And he joined us this week here on 97.3 ESPN. Andy, enjoy your time at the Mecca of football, and I'll talk to you next week.
Absolutely, buddy. We're at the Fantasy Football Expo in Canton at the Pro Football Hall of Fame, so it's going to be a ton of fun. Talk to you next week.
Josh Hennig here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN. We'll wrap up the show on the other side.
This is the radio home for Philadelphia Eagles football. The Eagles open the 2022 preseason tomorrow night, hosting the New York Jets at the Link.
Wilson is being chased and sacked. Oh, is he smacked down?
Pre-game coverage starts at 6:30 with Merrill Reese and Mike Quick calling all the action starting at 7:30. This is where the Philadelphia Eagles play. 97.3 ESPN, South Jersey's official Eagles station.
New Jersey car owners, with interest rates rising, the current value of your trade is about to plummet. So drive directly to Matt Blatt Nissan because AJ the Trade Man needs your trade.
Oh yeah, it's on at Matt Blatt Nissan.
So cash in your vehicle now before it's too late and drive home in a new Nissan today with 0 down and 0 payments for 90 days and 1.9% financing for 36 months on every new Nissan in stock or en route. Just because you don't see your new Nissan on the lot doesn't mean you can't drive it home tomorrow. New 2022 Nissan Armada. Get $5,000 off MSRP, $61,885, and drive away with peace of mind with Matt Blatt Nissan's 4-day love it or leave it return policy. MattBlattNissan.com. Negative equity will be refinanced into new vehicle. Interest accrues from date of sale. Not all will qualify. MSRP $61,875. VIN N9677-417. Offers can't be combined. Call 877-289-6670 or go to MattBlattNissan.com for complete details. Offer ends 9/4/22. It's on at Matt Blatt Nissan on the Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township.
Come on, we're going to be late to the cookout.
I was just packing up my famous mac and cheese.
I hope you packed the Pepto, too.
Huh?
Pepto-Bismol provides fast relief from heartburn and indigestion. You know, that uncomfortable feeling after you eat too much. And after the deviled eggs, baked beans, and barbecue ribs, you're going to need it.
Barbecue ribs? I should probably pack an extra shirt, too.
Good call.
When you have nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, diarrhea.
Pepto-Bismol. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children. Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. But not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Thinking about gas mileage. An oil change with quality oil like Pennzoil Platinum Full Synthetic can help your engine get more out of every mile. Right now, you can get 5 quarts with an STP Extended Life oil filter for only $35.99. Get what you need for better fuel efficiency at any of our 6,200 stores or on AutoZone.com.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Go get your game on. Gallery Farmbook and games in Ocean Casino Resort this football season. Here's your favorite drinks while cheering on your favorite team. Get in on a parlay out in the middle of a party. Go for the sports team and go for the endless screens. Go to the gallery. Go to Ocean. Go for the win. For more information, visit oceanac.com. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Progressive presents Married to Your Home.
I'm disgusting.
Oh, House, don't say that.
You could live someplace so much better than me.
That's not true.
Oh, yeah? Look at these uneven stairs. Gross.
House, you know I don't care.
And the squeaky door hinge.
I think it's cute.
No matter how much you already love your house, you'll love it more knowing you could save big bundling your home and auto with Progressive. Coverage from Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and third-party insurers. Bundle discount not available in all states or situations.
My friend and I are taking a trip to Mexico this year, but neither of us speak Spanish. So we downloaded Babbel and started learning Spanish fast.
Want to get conversational in another language? This level is 3 weeks. Babbel's quick and are designed by language experts to be the most efficient and effective way to learn a new language.
¿Cómo te llamas?
¿Cómo te llamas?
Babbel, language for life. Celebrating 10 million subscriptions sold. Now try Babbel for free at Babbel.com. That's Babbel.com.
We get it. You're not going to work just anywhere. You're smart, you're ambitious, and you want to help others. You want a place where you can thrive, feel fulfilled, and have an opportunity for growth, all while making an incredible living. Right now is the perfect time to join the team at Town Square Media as a marketing consultant. Join one of the fastest growing digital companies in America. You can help build client solutions with real local influencers and sell brands like TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube. If this sounds exciting to you, let's have a conversation. Our comp package is amazing with unlimited earning potential, including base salary, mobile phone, auto expense, 401k match, trip incentives, and more. If you're competitive, driven, and have the ability to communicate great ideas, we'd love to hear from you. With digital advertising expected to double over the next 3 years, the timing could not be better. Reach out to Mike Rubel, Market President, at 609-910-5249 or visit careers.townsquaremedia.com. Town Square Media is an equal opportunity employer.
Now, more Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
Great stuff from Andy McNamara from Sportsnet, talking some NFL today on the show. I'll reiterate it again. The Deshaun Watson news is very interesting. You know, Deshaun Watson is willing to be suspended. I say if he's willing to work out a deal, it behooves everyone to make the deal. It's a win-win for the Browns because Watson misses a specific number of games before the bye week. He'll return after the bye week. It's a win for Watson because he gets to put all this behind him and get back to football. At least in terms of the NFL's perspective. The NFL, they get a massive fine out of him, and they avoid him returning during Breast Cancer Awareness Month, which would be a messy PR situation with Watson and his off-the-field issues. I'm Josh Hennig. This is Game Night. I'll catch you tomorrow on 97.3 ESPN.